Welcome to Lesson 04, the final foundation stage before we move into operations. Today we're talking targets, systems declarative reincarnation of the old sysvinit run levels. If you remember 0 through 6, halt, single user, multi-user, graphical, reboot. That knowledge isn't wasted. It's translated. Targets are units that group other units, and your machine always lives inside one. By the end of this lesson, you'll know the hierarchy, the common targets, how to switch between them, and when to author your own. So let's start with the translation table, because this is where old muscle memory becomes new vocabulary. Run level 0 is poweroff.target. Run level 1 is rescue.target. Single user mode for when you need to fix, etc. with nothing else running. There's also emergency.target, even more minimal, just a root shell, no file systems mounted beyond root. Run level 3, the workhorse for headless servers, is multi-user.target. 5 becomes graphical.target, and 6 is reboot.target. Notice run level 2 quietly disappeared. It's folded into multi-user. Same concepts, descriptive names. Now those names aren't just labels, they stack. Each target requires the ones beneath it. So booting to graphical.target pulls in multi-user, which pulls in basic, which pulls in sysvinit. Read the tree top-down. Pick your destination, and systemd walks downward to find the foundation, then activates back up. The 4 red boxes at the bottom, rescue, emergency, power off, reboot, sit outside that chain. They're isolated states, not part of normal inheritance. Out of the dozen system ships, 4 targets carry your daily work. Multi-user is where servers live, network up, SSH listening, no GUI, the default for 95% of boxes. Graphical sites 1 layer above, adding the display manager for workstations. Then rescue, single user repair mode, root shell on TTTY1, file system read-write, perfect for fixing a broken, etc. And below that, emergency, root shell, read-only root, nothing else mounted. That's your last resort when even rescue won't come up. Now switching between those targets. 2 modes, and the distinction matters. Isolate is live and one-shot. It changes the running system right now, but says nothing about next boot. Set default is the opposite. Persistent, written to disk, takes effect at the next start. So, systemctl isolate rescue.target drops you to single user without a reboot, powerful at 3 a.m., dangerous if you forget you're on a remote box. The shortcuts, rescue, emergency, power off, reboot, are just sysvinit-flavored aliases for isolate. And when you're truly locked out, edit the grub line and append system.unit-rescue.target. That's your boot time escape hatch. Once you're comfortable with the built-in targets, the next step is authoring your own. The pattern is the same. Description requires after, just applied to grouping rather than booting. You declare a target file, point your services at it with wanted by, and now Nginx, Postgres, and your worker start and stop as one atomic unit. Allow isolate yes is what lets you flip the whole stack on with a single isolate call or swap to a maintenance target that brings the web tier down while leaving the database up. The rule, though, don't author targets unless you genuinely need atomic grouping. Most services are fine standing alone. Before you author or switch anything, you read 5 commands in order. Get default tells you the boot target, list units, type target shows what's actually loaded right now, list dependencies expands what a target pulls in, the reverse form tells you who wants it, and is active confirms the current state matches intent. The rule is simple. Switching blind is how you lose your SSH session. Read first, isolate second. Once you can read the system, the question becomes why targets exist at all, and the answer is 3 principles. First, names beat numbers. Rescue, target explains itself, run level 1, demands tribal knowledge. Second, targets compose. Graphical, target is literally multi-user.target plus a display manager, and you can build your own, the same way. Third, targets are the maintenance interface itself. A custom maintenance.target with no app services is one isolate away, not a bash script crossing its fingers. With the principles in hand, here's the working reference. 2 rows matter most when things go sideways. Set default changes the next boot permanently. Isolate changes the running system right now. Confuse them at 3 a.m. and you'll be explaining to someone why the box is in rescue mode. Note the bottom row too. System.unit rescue.target appended to the grub CMD line is your way back in, when even the default target won't cooperate. Print it, pin it, move on. Reading is one thing, muscle memory is another. So 3 drills, 60 to 90 minutes, all on a VM, never a production box, because isolating to rescue over SSH locks you out instantly. First, inspect. Map your own default target and trace one service back up the chain. Second, switch. Isolate to rescue from the VM console, feel the system go quiet, then isolate back to multi-user and watch it return. Third, author. Write a 5-line maintenance.target. Isolate into it. See only the basics survive. Inspect, switch, author. That's the pattern. Drills build instinct, but instinct alone won't save you from these 5. Each one has taken down real systems. Isolating to rescue from SSH locks you out. Use the console. Set default to a non-bootable target bricks your next boot. Test with isolate first. Custom targets refuse isolation without allow isolate yes. Wanted by graphical.target on a headless box means your service silently never runs. And default.target is a symlink. Never edit it directly. Use systemctl set default. 5 fixes, 1 red, cheaper than 1 outage. And that's foundations. 4 lessons in. You know where system came from, how units are built, how services behave, and how targets orchestrate the whole machine. The abstractions are in place. Next, in Lesson 05, we start operations, taking a real bash script, turning it into a proper service unit, and shipping a small web app end-to-end. Foundations were the vocabulary. Operations is where you start writing sentences. See you there.